In the second part of the urban climate videos, we'll be discussing urban heat island and pollution domes. Urban heat islands during the day. As we said in part 1 of this video series, the air above the urban areas is warmer than the air above the rural areas, and in part 1 we discussed the reasons why. Now this hot air rises and the cool air from the rural areas moves in. This rising air causes a heat island to mushroom over the urban area. This heat island encloses the urban area and the built-up area. Due to the hot air rising, the heat island is less concentrated during the day. This is because the air moves upwards into the atmosphere and is kind of spread out into that mushroom shape. Now remember, as the air moves from the rural areas to the urban areas, it kind of cools down the rural areas. And as it moves towards the urban areas, it heats up. And when it gets to the urban areas, it's forced upwards and creates that mushroom shape. That's why we get that nice mushroom shape of the urban heat island. During the night, urban heat islands are known as pollution domes. Now the artificial surfaces found in urban areas lose heat a lot faster than the natural surfaces found in rural areas. At night, the city cools down quickly, so the air moving upwards isn't as strong of a current. The air becomes dense and the heat island becomes shallower, so a dense layer forms just above the city. The temperature difference between the rural and the urban areas is less during the night, so the air movement isn't that strong. So you don't get that strong current from the rural areas that forces that hot air up above the urban areas to create that mushroom shape. So during the night, the air pollution is more concentrated, and this results in a pollution dome. That is why a lot of people have problems when they go to sleep in urban areas and they have struggle breathing or respiration issues. This is because of the pollution dome that is covering the city. The following strategies can be used to reduce the urban heat island effect. Vegetation and tree coverage should increase. Now remember, vegetation and trees transpire. This automatically cools it down. And trees also provide shade, which also cools down the urban area. A normal roof absorbs a lot of heat, which leads to the heating up of the building. But now if you create a rooftop garden, this automatically cools down the entire building because the building absorbs less heat. Paint structures lighter colors or use reflective materials to build these structures. Now these structures can be anything, from pavements to houses, as long as you don't use darker colors, because remember, darker colors absorb more heat and lighter colors reflect more heat, therefore keeping the area cooler. Overall, you should aim to increase the albedo of the city. Now remember, the albedo is the reflectiveness of the Earth's surface. So the higher the albedo, the more energy gets reflected away from the Earth's surface and the less gets absorbed.